Hello, and welcome to another segment of Who We Are and What We Do. I'm Stephanie Mason, Township Manager, and with me today is Sergeant Charles Ziegler from our Doylestown Township Police Department. Welcome, Sergeant.
Thank you.
Today we're going to discuss forming a neighborhood watch. Recently, Sergeant Ziegler presented to the Board of Supervisors how residents can go about forming a neighborhood watch. During that presentation, you gave a lot of good information, but tell me, what was it that prompted you to promote the Neighborhood Watch in Doylestown Township?
Well, it was stemming from when I was a kid and I was at home with my parents. My dad ran a very similar type of organization in our neighborhood, and working with it with him, it showed me how to organize it and how beneficial of a tool it was.
That's very good. So if a community in the township wants to form a neighborhood watch, how can people get involved from their community in identifying what's happening, and how can they do that?
Well, the best thing to do is to try to make contact with their neighbors, trying to get other people involved in this in a group. It'll do a couple things. It'll make each member of the neighborhood vested in their own community. It also gets you to know your neighbors, and you can have conversations and meetings with them to see if what they're seeing is the same thing that you're seeing.
And how many people do you need to form a neighborhood watch in a community?
I would say it would be a minimum of 2 people, because you don't want to leave one person alone. You want to make sure that if there is an emergency situation that it happens to occur, you want to have somebody else that's aware of where you are, so that if you do need help and you can't get the help yourself, someone knows where you are to tell the police.
What tools do residents need to form a neighborhood watch?
Usually, right now in today's society, cell phones, perfect thing, because you get text message, you can use the phone and call them. It's easy if it's simple.
What type of skills does a resident need or need to possess to be able to participate in a neighborhood watch in their community?
They want to be able to be observant. They want to be able to know what belongs in their neighborhood and what doesn't. And being able to communicate that to somebody else is key.
What would they need if they're not really familiar with their entire neighborhood?
A map, because some of the developments here are rather large and have windy roads in them. Some developments have multiple intersections of the same names. So what you want to do is make sure you have a map of your neighborhood so that you know exactly where you are and you can tell other people how to find you.
If a resident or a group of residents is considering forming a neighborhood watch, what are the important things they need to consider before doing that?
Well, they need to realize that they have to be safe, for one. They also have to know or figure out how to be a good witness. You want to be able to describe people. You want to be able to describe vehicles, clothing descriptions, colors of vehicles, types of vehicles, the vehicle registration number if you can, where the vehicle or person was that you thought that would cause them to think that there was a problem, and what direction they were heading the last time you saw them.
You mentioned something earlier about a log book, I think, that you said your father used. How important is it to keep written record of what they observe?
It's very important, because what that does is if someone had performed a neighborhood watch prior to you earlier in the week, and they would write down what they saw, and the same thing would happen because you could review their reports, and that's the same thing that we at the police department do. We review reports from the prior shifts to know what occurred. So if somebody had written down something, then you saw the similar thing, you would know that if it had moved, or if it isn't a completely new incident that has not been there since the last time the watch occurred.
And a neighborhood watch might be of assistance because a resident might observe a vehicle that isn't typically in the neighborhood that maybe is looking to perhaps do a burglary or something, correct?
That's absolutely correct. A lot of times, there's sometimes that the police to have contact with people that there's no way to tell if you prevented a crime happening or not. But if nothing else, if there is an incident that occurred, at least the police department had made contact with that person and may have identified them for use at a later time that we would not normally have had.
Okay, and I guess what are probably the key points in terms of safety and precautions that people participating in the Neighborhood Watch should do?
Please do not approach anybody. That is probably one of the most important things. Your eyes are the greatest tools that you're going to have. So what you want to do is just keep yourself safe, maintain a safe distance. Again, get the location of where you are and what you're seeing, and inform that to the 911 operators or the other person that you're working with, so that the police department can come to you directly and find out what you saw and start looking at what you had described.
So the neighborhood watches can be very beneficial to our police department.
Absolutely.
Good. So if a resident is watching this at home and they wanted to form a neighborhood watch, how would they go about doing that?
Well, they can go onto the police website. My name is listed on there. You can click on my name and it'll prompt you directly to my email. Or you can call me by phone. It's 215-348-4201 and my extension is 2005.
Very easy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you again for tuning into who we are and what we do. Again, I'm Stephanie Mason, Township Manager. Thank you.